Let me tell you something important today. What we often call weakness is rarely weakness at all. It is depth. It is history. It is heart. One hidden struggle is emotional attachment. When love is given, it's given fully. Another is the desire to be seen and not for appreciated, not for perfection, but for as also the habit of putting others first, even when it costs inner peace. Fear of abandonment can silence real feelings. People-pleasing can replace honesty. Holding pain quietly can look like strength, but it can also be loneliness. And finally, self-doubt, questioning worth even while carrying everyone else. Men don't need to fix these things. They need to understand them. Because when understanding replaces judgment, relationships transform. Real power grows where empathy lives. Emotional depth is often misunderstood and unfairly labeled as weakness. But in reality, it is one of the most powerful human qualities a woman can possess. Emotional depth means the ability to feel deeply, to connect sincerely, and to respond to life with awareness and sensitivity. It allows a woman to read between the lines, to sense shifts in energy, and to understand what is spoken and what is left unsaid. However, in a world that often praises emotional detachment, this depth is misread as fragility. When emotions are visible, people assume a lack of control, yet the truth is quite the opposite. It takes immense strength to feel fully and still remain standing. Many women are taught from an early age to be emotionally available, caring, and responsive. Over time, this turns into a habit of internalizing emotions rather than expressing them freely. When a woman feels deeply, she does not react without thought. She processes, reflects, and carries emotional experiences within her. From the outside, this can look like overthinking or sensitivity, but internally it is emotional intelligence at work. She's weighing feelings, consequences, and connections all at once. That is not weakness. That is complexity. Men often misinterpret emotional reactions as instability because emotions are expressed honestly. Tears, silence, or deep conversations are not signs of being weak-minded. They are signs of courage. It is easy to shut down emotionally. It is easy to avoid vulnerability. What is difficult is remaining open in a world that often dismisses feelings. Emotional depth allows a woman to love sincerely, to care intensely, and to commit wholeheartedly. When trust is broken, the pain runs deeper because the investment was real. This depth also means that words matter. Tone matters. Absence is felt. Emotional memory is strong, not because of grudges, but because meaning is attached to experiences. A careless comment can linger, while a kind gesture can be remembered for years. Men who understand this stop minimizing emotions and start respecting them. They realize that emotional depth is not something to manage or suppress, but something to honor. When emotional depth is ignored or mocked, it can turn inward and become self-doubt. A woman may begin to question her feelings, silence her voice, or apologize for caring too much. This is where misunderstanding becomes damaging. What she needs is reassurance, patience, and understanding, not correction. Emotional depth thrives in safe spaces. When it is supported, it becomes a source of strength, loyalty, and emotional stability in relationships. Understanding emotional depth changes everything. It builds trust. It creates deeper bonds. It allows love to grow beyond surface level connection. Emotional depth is not a flaw to be fixed. It is a gift that, when respected, can transform relationships and bring genuine closeness. The need for validation is a quiet influence that often shapes choices without being openly acknowledged. It does not come from weakness, but from years of conditioning, expectations, and emotional experiences. Many women grow up learning that approval equals safety, love, and worth. Compliments, reassurance, and recognition become emotional signals that say, you are doing enough, you are accepted, accepted, you matter. Over time, this need does not disappear. It simply becomes more subtle and more powerful. Decisions are sometimes filtered through how they will be perceived, that not because of insecurity, but because connection has always been linked to approval. Validation can influence how a woman speaks, how much she shares, and even what she tolerates. She may stay silent to avoid disapproval, or push herself beyond limits to be appreciated. This is not manipulation, it is adaptation. When validation is scarce, effort increases. When appreciation feels uncertain, self-sacrifice becomes a tool to earn emotional security. The desire to be valued can quietly override personal needs, leading to choices that prioritize harmony over honesty. Men often misunderstand this need and assume it is attention-seeking. In reality, it is reassurance-seeking. There is a difference. Validation is not about praise for ego. It is about emotional grounding. It answers a deeper question, am I enough as I am? When this answer is unclear, a woman may doubt her instincts, second-guess her boundaries, or delay important decisions. She may look outward for confirmation, even when she already knows the truth internally. This need becomes stronger in environments where effort goes unnoticed, when emotional labor, support, and care are expected but not acknowledged. The validation becomes a missing emotional nutrient. A woman may continue giving, hoping that one day it will be seen. She may compromise her desires, believing that approval will eventually bring closeness or stability. When it does not, disappointment quietly settles in. Healthy validation does not create dependence. It creates confidence. When appreciation is consistent and sincere, it reduces the need to seek it elsewhere. A woman who feels seen does not have to prove her worth. She becomes more decisive, more expressive, and more grounded in her choices. Validation, when given with respect, strengthens independence rather than weakening it. Understanding this need changes how relationships function. Instead of dismissing emotions, a man learns to acknowledge effort. Instead of minimizing feelings, he offers reassurance. Simple recognition can prevent silent resentment and emotional withdrawal. Validation is not about constant praise. It is about presence, listening, and letting someone know their feelings and contributions matter. When the need for validation is met in healthy ways, it no longer controls decisions from the background. It becomes a foundation rather than a driving force. Choices become clearer, boundaries become stronger, and relationships become more balanced. Validation does not define worth, but it reminds someone of it, and that reminder can quietly change everything. Overgiving often begins with good intentions and a genuine desire to care, support, and protect the people around you. It is rooted in empathy and love, not weakness. Many women are taught that being valuable means being useful, dependable, and emotionally available at all times. Saying yes becomes easier than saying no, and giving becomes a habit rather than a choice. At first, overgiving feels rewarding because it creates closeness and appreciation. But slowly, it starts to drain energy, time, and emotional strength, leaving little room for personal needs. When a woman consistently puts others first, she learns to delay her own needs. Rest feels like guilt, boundaries feel selfish, asking for help feels uncomfortable. She may believe that love is proven through sacrifice, so she gives more than she has, hoping it will secure connection or stability. Over time, this pattern leads to exhaustion that is often invisible. On the outside, she appears strong, reliable, and capable. On the inside, she may feel overlooked, tired, and emotionally empty. Self-neglect does not happen all at once. It happens in small moments. Skipping rest to help someone else, ignoring emotional pain to keep peace, accepting less than deserved to avoid conflict. Each small choice seems harmless, but together they create imbalance. The body gets tired, the mind becomes overwhelmed, the heart feels unappreciated, yet she continues giving because stopping feels like letting people down. Men often fail to notice this because overgiving is quiet. There are no complaints, no demands, and no visible breakdowns at first. Silence is mistaken for strength and availability is taken for granted. When appreciation is missing, overgiving increases, not decreases. She may try harder, give more, and ask for less, believing that effort will eventually be noticed. This is where resentment can quietly grow. Overgiving also blurs identity. When most energy is spent meeting others' needs, a woman can lose touch with her own desires, goals, and emotions. She may struggle to answer simple questions about what she wants because her focus has always been on others. This loss of self is not dramatic, but it is deeply impactful. Confidence weakens when personal needs are consistently ignored. Healthy relationships require balance. Giving should be mutual, not one-sided. When a woman feels safe to express limits, overgiving slowly transforms into intentional care. Self-care is not selfish. It is necessary. A woman who respects her own needs can give from a place of fullness rather than depletion. She becomes more present, more joyful, and more emotionally stable. Understanding overgiving helps men become more aware partners. Appreciation, support, and shared responsibility reduce the pressure to constantly give. When effort is acknowledged, self-neglect loses its power. Overgiving is not a flaw, it is a sign of deep care. But without balance, it becomes a quiet cost that no one should have to pay. Fear of abandonment is one of the most powerful silent forces shaping behavior, yet it is rarely spoken about openly. It develops slowly, often from past experiences where emotional security felt uncertain or temporary. When connection once felt fragile, the mind learns to protect itself by avoiding risk. Silence becomes safer than honesty. Holding back feels better than possibly being left behind. This fear does not come from weakness. It comes from wanting stability, safety, and emotional belonging. When a woman fears abandonment, she may choose silence even when something hurts. She may minimize her needs, soften her words, or delay important conversations. Speaking up feels dangerous because it carries the risk of conflict, rejection, or distance. Silence, on the other hand, feels like control. It feels like preserving peace, even if that peace comes at the cost of emotional truth. Over time, this habit becomes automatic. Feelings are processed internally instead of being shared. This fear often causes a woman to tolerate behavior that does not align with her values. She may excuse inconsistency, accept emotional distance, or stay quiet about unmet needs. The goal is not to deceive. The goal is to stay connected. When love feels conditional, self-expression feels risky. She may believe that asking for more will result in less, so she asks for nothing at all. Men sometimes misread this silence as emotional strength or contentment. In reality, it is often emotional protection. Silence does not mean nothing is felt. It means everything is being felt privately. Thoughts are carefully weighed. Words are filtered. Reactions are restrained. This internal pressure builds quietly and can eventually lead to emotional withdrawal or sudden exhaustion. Fear of abandonment also affects decision-making. A woman may avoid setting boundaries because boundaries feel like pushing someone away. She may agree when she wants to refuse. She may stay longer than she should, hoping consistency will return. Her silence is not a lack of awareness. It is a strategy for survival in emotional spaces that feel unstable. This fear is often reinforced when vulnerability is met with dismissal or criticism. Each time feelings are minimized, silence feels more justified. Each time honesty leads to distance, fear grows stronger. What she needs is not pressure to speak, but reassurance that honesty will not lead to loss. Emotional safety creates voice. Without safety, silence feels necessary. Understanding this, fear changes how relationships deepen. When a man responds with patience, rather than defensiveness, silence begins to soften. When he listens without judgment, words feel safer. Consistency builds trust, and trust reduces fear. Slowly, silence is replaced with openness, not because fear disappears, but because safety grows stronger than fear. Fear of abandonment does not mean a lack of confidence. It means connection matters deeply. When that connection feels secure, silence no longer feels required. Emotional honesty becomes possible, and relationships move from survival to genuine intimacy. People-pleasing often looks like kindness, cooperation, and flexibility, but beneath it there is frequently a quiet form of strength trying to survive. Many women learn early that being agreeable keeps relationships smooth and conflict low. They discover that saying yes brings approval, while saying no can bring tension or rejection. Over time, adapting to others becomes a skill, and that skill slowly turns into a shield. Strength does not disappear. It simply learns to hide behind politeness and accommodation. People-pleasing is not about lacking opinions or boundaries. It is about carefully managing them. A woman may know exactly what she wants, yet choose harmony over expression. She reads the room, senses emotions, and adjusts her behavior to maintain balance. This level of awareness requires emotional intelligence and control. However, because it is quiet and accommodating, it is rarely recognized as strength. Instead, it is often mistaken for passivity or dependence. Behind people-pleasing is often a strong desire to protect relationships. The intention is not to deceive or manipulate, but to preserve connection. A woman may carry the emotional weight of others, smoothing tension before it turns into conflict. She may compromise repeatedly, believing that her needs can wait. This does not mean her needs are small. It means she has learned to place others first to maintain emotional safety. The hidden cost of people-pleasing is self-suppression. When strength is consistently redirected outward, it stops serving the self. A woman may hesitate to voice discomfort, fearing it will create distance. She may agree while feeling drained, smile while feeling unseen, and support others while neglecting her own emotional health. This does not come from weakness. It comes from endurance. She is strong enough to carry discomfort quietly, but that strength is rarely rewarded. Men often benefit from people-pleasing without realizing it. The relationship feels easy. There are fewer arguments. Needs seem minimal. However, this calm can be misleading. When strength is hidden for too long, resentment can quietly build. Emotional exhaustion can replace affection. The woman may feel invisible, not because she was ignored intentionally, but because she never felt safe enough to fully show herself. True strength emerges when people-pleasing is no longer required for acceptance. When a woman feels secure, her strength becomes visible. She speaks clearly, she sets boundaries, she remains kind, but not at her own expense. This transformation does not make her harsh or distant. It makes her authentic. Her strength shifts from silent endurance to confident expression. Understanding people-pleasing changes how it is responded to. Instead of assuming agreement, space is given for honesty. Instead of expecting constant accommodation, effort is made to share responsibility. When an appreciation replaces expectation, people-pleasing loosens its grip. Strength no longer needs to hide. People-pleasing is not a flaw. It is a learned response to emotional environments that demanded adaptation. When safety and respect are present, that same strength becomes visible, grounded, and empowering. It no longer bends itself to fit others. It stands fully without fear of losing connection. In the end, understanding these hidden struggles is not about labeling women as weak. It is about recognizing the unseen strength it takes to feel deeply, give selflessly, stay silent, reserve love, seek reassurance in a demanding world, and remain kind while carrying emotional weight. What appears soft on the surface is often resilience built through experience. When men choose understanding over judgment, empathy over control, and patience over dismissal, relationships change at their core. True connection is not created by fixing someone. It is created by seeing them. When emotional depth is respected, validation is offered with sincerity, balance replaces overgiving, safety removes silence, and strength no longer has to hide behind people pleasing. This is where trust grows. This is where love matures. The most powerful relationships are not built on perfection, but on awareness. When men learn to understand these realities, they do not just become better partners. They become better listeners, better leaders, and better humans. Because real strength is not about dominance. It is about understanding what is carried quietly and choosing to honor it.